Customer complaints can feel extremely unjustified at times. People scream and complain about your company, and you may not feel like you did anything wrong. But nonetheless, customer service is a marketing activity, and the way that you speak to customers, even in their darkest moments, matters to how your brand is perceived. So today, I'm going to tell you why it's important to focus on this, because it is absolutely vital, the effect of customer complaints on your business, how to handle customer complaints, and some great examples of good and bad customer complaints and how they were handled. My name is Trent Kennelly. I'm a marketing strategist, and on this channel, I talk about all the things that you can do to improve your business through marketing, sales, and analytics. So if that sounds good to you and you're excited, make sure you like this video, subscribe to my channel if you're into it, comment and let me know your worst customer service issue and how you handled that. Just entertain me. I would love to know. But until then, let's get started. So why is this so important? Well, first, consider this. People are going to complain. It is part of business. They're going to do it publicly at times. That is unfortunately also part of business. This can be very bothersome and stressful for you. I understand that. But the way that you respond to those complaints needs to be as thoughtful as any outbound marketing activity that you do, like paid ads or whatever, because whether they're complaining publicly or in a one-on-one conversation, your conversation with them could end up going viral. That could be good or that could be bad, but the point is that this whole thing, customer complaint marketing, customer service in general, is marketing, because everything that's front-facing and customer-facing is marketing. So no matter what you're doing online, you're building a brand and you're giving people a window into who you are and what your company stands for. So let's talk a little more specifically about some of the effects that customer complaints can have on your business, because the way that you handle complaints can directly affect future sales of not only this customer, but future ones as well. You need to think of it this way. Customers making complaints about you or your product or service are having a direct conversation with you. It is a one-on-one conversation, whether it's through Twitter or whether it's through a chat window. And if they feel like you're doing a great job helping them, you know what they're probably going to do? They're probably going to tell someone. And if that customer feels like you don't care or even are actively making things worse for them, you know what they're definitely going to do? They're definitely going to tell someone. This might sound familiar to you. This is word of mouth. You can check out this video for lots of details on word of mouth. But what we're trying to point out here is that this experience is going to dictate whether people say good things or bad things about your company. And remember, these people are already complaining. They're already in the mindset of wanting to say bad things. You want them to say good things. So you have to give people a reason to say good things. And if they don't feel like you're speaking to them as a human, if they don't feel like they are heard, that is the fastest way to get them to say bad things, okay? It is very important to remember that customer service and customer complaint marketing is a customer-facing activity. So you need to respect them, you need to listen to them, and you need positive interactions there. Now we'll get to a little bit more detail on that in just a minute. It's important to remember two things here. First, people react more strongly to negative events than to positive ones. So for instance, and I'm going to provide a link in the description to a great article on this, humans are going to react more strongly to losing $50 than to gaining $50. That negative experience lasts in our mind for longer. We also know that a stronger reaction tends to burn in the memory for longer and more deeply. So if you put those two things together, the strong reaction and how we handle that in the memory, we know, and this has also been shown in an independent study, that we remember negative experiences for longer because of how strongly we react to them. And when everything is online, including some very public responses to customer complaints on social media, it is very easy for a bad response to go viral and cause some real damage. Second, people are more motivated by positive outcomes. If you give someone a positive incentive for a good behavior instead of a bad behavior, they're more likely to repeat the good behavior than if you did the opposite and punished a bad behavior. So finding ways to create positive experiences through the customer complaint process can really help you to turn people into repeat purchasers once again. All right, bread and butter, how to handle customer complaints. The first thing I really want to drive home here is this: the customer is not always right. You obviously want to turn as many people into happy customers as possible, but that is never going to happen at 100%. Some people refuse to be satisfied, others are trying to game the system. Your job is not to give away the farm. Your job is to listen, try to understand, and do what you can to fix the problem. Sometimes it's a simple fix and they leave happy in 5 minutes. Sometimes you can't fix it and a refund is in order. Do what you can to take the pressure off the situation. Treat them with respect, and you are more likely to see a positive attitude from the other side as a result. Next, you need to consider that there are generally two ways that people reach out to you. Privately in a one-on-one conversation, chat, phone, etc. We've pretty much covered this point up to here. Or publicly on social media. Let's get a little more into this social media side because there's a bit more meat and potatoes there, okay? So, this is a whole different ballgame. People are gonna post complaints publicly either to warn others off of your company or to get your company's attention. And in either case, you have to expect that your conversation is gonna be seen by other people who are not you and the complainer. So what this really comes down to is understanding that you need to communicate with them in that public space where they reached out to you, but also understanding when to take it to a one-on-one conversation. Now you might be saying at this point, well, Trent, yeah, I can cover a lot more ground more quickly if I immediately just say to them, oh, sorry to hear you're having an issue, let's go to a private conversation. You wouldn't have to wait as long for responses, they're not gonna be as distracted, you can get private information from them more easily. And you are correct, all of those things are true about a one-on-one conversation. It's unquestionably faster. But if I'm a third-party observer and I see that somebody else is complaining to Delta, let's say, and Delta immediately says, hey, let's go to a private conversation, Delta comes across as untrustworthy in that situation. People want to see that you are willing to discuss the issue and make things right as much as possible in a public sphere. And if you're closed off or unwilling to talk about the issue publicly, people aren't seeing that your company's values are shining through in that process, and any observers are going to think a little bit more about whether they want to work with you in the future. But even more than that, consider the narrative for a second. When someone complains about you, they're putting their story about your company into the world. If you don't respond in some open and honest way, their negative story about your company may just be the one that sticks, and now everybody sees your company in a more negative light. Publicly handling a customer complaint in a way that makes that customer feel heard changes the narrative and lets you tell your company's side of the story. Okay, so if we know that it's better to communicate with them in private because it gets things done faster, but public is necessary, when should we make that transition? The easiest way to determine this is to ask yourself whether you're asking for private information in a public space or not. So for instance, if we're talking via Twitter about a delivery that never showed up and you as the customer service agent need more details to research the situation, that's the moment that you take it offline. But if the customer is talking about the state of your brick and mortar store in Portland and how people were viciously mean, you keep that public until the moment you need details about the store that they were at. Response time is also incredibly important to consider. A faster response time is going to tend to leave people feeling more positive about their interaction with you. I once had a problem with a product that likely could have been fixed in a 10-minute chat. Instead, the only way to reach them was via email, and it took a week to respond. In that time, I had already packed up the product and sent it back to them, and I will never buy from that place again. We live in an instant gratification society. Long wait times are bad. Respond as quickly as you can if you want to help turn these people into repeat customers. So the moment you've all been waiting for, some examples of good and bad responses. So let's look at two good and two bad. We'll start with the good because I'm a positive guy. Scott Fosgate, at Southwest Air, how do you have a 3+ hour flight and the plane not be equipped with Wi-Fi? Southwest Air, hang in there, Scott. All planes without Wi-Fi will be retired tomorrow. A fully Wi-Fi enabled fleet is on the way. So spoke to the problem, right? Ryan Michael Lazo, nothing better than having a delayed flight. Sarcasm at its finest. Please get me home soon, JetBlue. JetBlue responds, please send us your flight number and we'll try to get an update for you. Ryan responds, by the way, that was within 1 hour, so that was pretty fast. Ryan responds, the flight number is 2201. I believe the plane is still in New York as we speak. And then again, within that same hour from the first hour, so very, very quickly, JetBlue responds, your flight is currently scheduled to leave at 11 a.m. Hang in there, we'll have you on your way as soon as possible. So pretty fast response. They can't solve the problem all the time, but at least they're speaking to the problem with the customer one-on-one in a public space. Next, so we have British Airways already responding to at HVSVN, who says, sorry for the delay in responding. Our Twitter feed is open 9 to 17 GMT. Please DM your baggage ref and we'll look into this. Your Twitter feed is open 9 to 17. Okay. So HVSVN responds and says, how does a billion-dollar corporation only have 9 to 5 social media support for a business that operates 24/7? DM me yourselves. And then goes on to make another tweet about how you shouldn't fly British Airways because their customer service is horrendous. Final bad one. This is Ross Scheingold, who's sharing this tweet. It says, it's funny that American Air is responding to every tweet coming their way, especially when this happens. Murph Marked says, congrats to American Air and US Airways on creating the largest, shittiest airline in the world. American Air responds, thanks for your support. We look forward to a bright future as the new American. Guys. So these are all very different, right? They're all about airplanes, but they're all very different. Some are very positive, some are not. And you can see that all of those different exchanges, while very short, speak to the different ways that customer service is handled at those airlines and speaks to customer service and the general ideas of who that company is to the public as a whole. So you can see that the good ones are showing the frustration and they're speaking to that frustration. The bad ones are ignoring the issue entirely or sending some boilerplate that clearly doesn't respond to the message that was being sent in the first place, like that last one about the largest, shittiest airline. So it's really important to pay close attention here. So there you go. I hope that that helped you to figure out the best ways to speak to people when they're in that negative, complaining mode. Honestly, in a lot of situations, it's just a question of treating them how you want to be treated. Golden rule, people. Obviously, they're not always right, but as much as you can, treat people with that respect. It is really important. Let me know what your worst customer service experience has been. I would love to be able to listen in on it, be entertained, and maybe help you if I can. Otherwise, make sure you like this video, subscribe to my channel if you're into it, and I will catch you in the next one.